Hi, my name's Chris Reedy and welcome to my podcast, Ready and Willing. As you can see, there's a take on the name there, Reedy and Ready. So there we are. Today, we've got two fabulous, lovely ladies. I'm sure they paid me well to say that, who come from our community organisations. We've got Gemma from the Hamlet and Katy from Clemt. We'll start with Katy. What is Clemt?
Clemt is a really good community group. We started off just collecting food and getting it out to the community. And it's grown and grown from there into a bit of a monster, really. We're doing all sorts of stuff each day. We've got sessions on, we've got craft sessions, we've got a cafe on site, we've got meeting rooms. I could go on and on and on. We've got growing space outside, we've got loads of stuff going on. So if anyone wants to come down and see what we're doing.
So how long have you been going?
10 years this
10
year.
10 years and 10 years anniversary. What a time to do a podcast.
Yeah.
I think, and that's it, I know Clemt quite well. I've been up there and done it, and the council's done a lot of work with Clemt. But all the people actually you serve there in deprived areas, but also open to anybody in the community to come in and put money behind that till.
Yeah, it's about reducing the stigma, really, and it not being like a general food bank where people might struggle to come through the doors. It's about making people feel welcome, accepting anybody who walks in, and the people who don't need us usually come just to support what we're doing, and that has a knock-on effect to help the people who do need us.
So naturally, when people turn up at the door, if they've never been before, what do they expect? Because we've had people from all different guises of the community coming up, and they open that door at Clemt. When we put the link on here, you'll get loads of visitors after this podcast. So what would they expect to see?
Friendly faces and a warm welcome. That's what we always pride ourselves on. And you know, people walk through the door and they often say it feels like a big hug when they walk in because it's like a little bit of a farm shop feel. So there's no stigma with it. People just come and they do a little bit of a shop, and all our volunteers are really, really friendly and make everyone feel welcome. But yeah, that's it. Come in and...
So it might be worth a mention for some of the staff there. I know John is your better half.
Yes. What do you always say? He's the boss.
He's the boss.
He's the boss. He keeps us in tow. He's not really the boss. You know, he just thinks
he is. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you think he is.
Yeah.
We've got Shirley, who's the founder director. She's, MBE and all that.
Shirley, yeah, we've got to mention the MBE bit.
The MBE.
Yeah.
She's trying to retire, but, she's tried to retire, but she's in every day at the moment because it's so busy. We've got John, we've got Claire, we've got Declan, we've got loads of staff members all working away. We've just got a new cook start today, so that's fun.
It might be worth mentioning some of the businesses that are involved. Some big businesses involved with yourselves. Heinz is one of them.
Yeah, we get lots of support from all the local businesses. We've got Heinz that are on our doorstep that support us with all sorts of tins of stuff. It's tins of soup galore at the moment. We've got Tim from JJH, which I think he's coming on your podcast tomorrow.
He's on tomorrow, yeah.
He's, he literally is a lifeline to us at Clemt. He's always helping out, and then we get Pataks that come and do all sorts of stuff with us, and obviously Wigan Council that support us through and through. Really, we couldn't ask for any more.
I think what I found in speaking to people who's been in, what they expect when they first go in is it's got to be a jumble of food, which nobody wants. And when I go in, it's top quality stuff. I'd sooner go there than Asda myself. It's cheaper, so it's better than Asda. I shouldn't probably say that on a podcast, but I did. But it just serves so many purposes. Food going to waste, money goes back in, so actually you can employ people who probably who'd struggle to get employment. So it ticks lots of boxes, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And people think that a lot of the time it's just food that's out of date, but we get food for all different reasons. Sometimes it's just because something's not been filled in a can properly, so it comes our way. So we have food that's in date, food that's just past its best before, all the veg is fresh. Yeah, you get bits that are not, but we just pick through them.
So I'm going to move over to Gemma in a minute at the Hamlet, but one of the things I've been keen to do working with you guys is connect a partnership up. So within communities, you have a lot of people working separately. One of the things I wanted to do was connect people up like yourselves with Gemma. So you've got two different total businesses, but can actually work together and support each other. So Gemma, over to Gemma at the Hamlet, which is based at Three Sisters. Tell us what the Hamlet is.
The Hamlet is a 19 to 25 provision for young adults with additional needs, all learning skills that will help them become as independent as possible in their future. So we have many things like Katy. We've got lots of things going on at the Hamlet. We've got a cafe, a printing business, 3 retail outlets, a craft centre. We're highly passionate about the Duke of Edinburgh's award. the silver and the gold level that we deliver. We have off-site work placements. There's just so much going on at the Hamlet.
So what's the future for the Hamlet then? What do you see as some of the things that you want to move forward on?
There's lots of opportunities at the moment. We've got a lot of links with the wider community, building up work placements for our young people to go and experience a real world of work opportunity in the wider community. We want to expand on site where we are and just provide as many opportunities for our young people as possible.
So there again, actually, as I mentioned earlier, working with Katy and Clemt, how do you see that connection working, and what benefits does it bring to each organisation?
Well, we've just started, haven't we, in the last couple of weeks with some of our trainees going down as part of their volunteering element of the Duke of Edinburgh's Award. And for those who don't know what the Duke of Edinburgh's Award is, our young people have to give their time to make a difference to somebody or something. And some of our trainees actually chose to come to Katy to make a difference and help Katy with her project down at Clemt. So they've been absolutely loving that session on a Wednesday. So yeah, we've got lots of little links going, haven't we?
And actually, I've been to both organisations, and one thing I love about my job is coming and seeing you guys out, and I'm out and about all the time. Yeah. The leader of the council can't control where I go any day. He doesn't know where I am, and he's just give up now anyway. So it's great that I see the people individually who are there. Can you talk about Sam a little bit? Is Sam, who's a pupil, a trainee there?
Yeah, of course. So when Sam started with us, it's safe to say that his confidence has grown massively at the Hamlet. But when he started, he was virtually a selective mute. Very, very minimal language. Side-eye person would look at you out the corner of his eye, and didn't speak much at all. Now we say we can't shut him up. He's gained a voice, and I can't say that's come from us, Chris, to be honest. That stemmed from we're well supported with a lot of community groups that attend the Hamlet as part of their social activities. So we had a walking group that come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it was actually that group that said, we don't want you to talk through an iPad. Throw it in the bin. I want you to talk to us. And he looked at me in fear. And I said, go on, give it a go. And it was them. And, you know, it's a community atmosphere at the Hamlet. And what the community bring to the Hamlet is absolutely massive. And what I didn't realise would be a big thing for us at the Hamlet is where they're changing mindsets of the wider community on them understanding that our young people may have a disability, but they've got abilities to give back to the local community.
I think that's a good buzzword, isn't it? So it's a really good point to make.
Absolutely.
And for people who've not been up to the Hamlet, it's on the lake. It's a really picturesque place.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it's something you wouldn't know. But I think you're quite right, we always say about not seeing the disability, seeing the person, and you actually clearly do that. I've been involved with you since 2017. We can talk about that one, but we probably wouldn't have enough time on a podcast. And all the relationships I've built up there with people and the trainees who are just fantastic people, but are just normal people like us. So they're no different than anybody else. So I wanted to there's plenty we could highlight there.
Yeah.
I'm just moving over to Katy, and who are the people what you said, like so we talk about Sam, is different people you've changed probably lives really at Clemt.
Oh well, I could talk for hours about the different people, but I'll start with Declan because I think Declan's the one that people see, and you know he came to us through a job centre Kickstarter scheme, and we went and we interviewed him, and he had no social skills. He spoke in an American accent because he just played computer games all day, and I just said to John, he needs a chance. Should we just give him a chance? So we took him on. He did the 6-month trial, and he's still here years later. He runs our shop for us. We found out that he was living on his auntie's couch and he didn't have his own space, no bed or anything. So we managed to get him into a little flat, and he's just flourished. He's absolutely brilliant. You know, he comes in every day. He's made a great friendship group at work, and he's just really good.
I think what I saw different with Declan, because naturally I've seen him in the shop, not really spoke to him vast amounts because he's not that kind of person. But when you invited me to your staff meeting the other week and we did some award, he was really chatty then in a different environment, putting his view across. One of the things what you've spoke about businesses that help you, one thing you've not spoke about is Poundland and the support that Poundland have given you. So Poundland is right at the side of where the Hamlet is on an industrial estate. So people driving in would think, where is the Hamlet? It's on the middle of an industrial estate, but it's not actually, it's on the edge. So I don't know if you want to talk about just the Poundland bit a bit.
Absolutely. So like you say, when we first opened, we were having difficulty with people finding where we were located. So I asked, would it be possible to put a sign on the fence perimeter? I invited some of the bosses up to the Hamlet, and they said, you know what, we can do more to help you here. And they started donating stock to us that started our first retail outlet. And it's those early retail skills that it teaches our young people of stocking shelves, facing up, checking dates, serving customers, using money. So we've got a little retail outlet on site, and through a conversation I had with some of the directors a couple of years ago, we said we questioned why they hadn't got a shop in their warehouse for their staff. And within a couple of months, they'd built a shop for our young people to help run, and they go 2-3 times a week and stock up the shelves, and that's supported by one of our amazing volunteers, and the trainees are gaining so many real-life work experience opportunities there. Poundland have been incredible. I can't praise them enough.
So, I mean, it's massive that, and it's at the side of you. So, what we've touched on, all the businesses who were really supportive. I think in Wigan, we've really got that inclusive kind of way forward of doing it. I want to bring a different dimension in now, and both your royal connections. So, me as a councillor and doing this and thinking I'm really great, I've not got the royal connections that you have built up. So I think we speak about Katy. You've been down to the garden party with your mum who got the MBE. We have to mention Shirley's MBE. We was told when we're doing the podcast, can we mention it 15 times?
Oh, is that what it is? We'll keep mentioning it.
But you went down to Buckingham Palace to get the MBE with your mum?
Well, it was Windsor Castle.
Okay.
We went. So me and my mum went to Windsor Castle and picked up her MBE, which was absolutely amazing, like out of this world, fabulous. But I went to Buckingham Palace garden party, and I went on my own because I didn't have anyone to go with at the time. But I went on my own, and when I got there, Gemma was there, and I was like,
"What are you doing here?"
Fantastic! I could sit with Gemma, and we had a chat. We had some tea and cake, and obviously Gemma got pulled up to do some random stuff like you always do, and they had you parading through the gardens.
Yeah,
and I was just like, "Oh, there she is, just mixing with the."
But I just think it's that. I mean, we talk about a royal connection, which is really good at Wigan and what we built up, but I was at a conference last week and with the LGA and things, and everybody talks about what Wigan does. Like me, I'm not just saying that because but I think we work together. There's a partnership, a triangle of kind of council, communities, businesses, and we've all got the same aim of making things better for people out there. You know, I know it's kind of a bit of a punchline, and people say, oh, it's a bit cheesy, but it's actually true, isn't it? But I think going back to the royal bit is, excuse me, when the Hamlet was opened, you might want to talk a little bit about that. You'll have to condense this one. This is a long one.
Okay, so we're highly passionate about the DFE, the Duke of Edinburgh's Award, like I was saying, and we got chosen through the Duke of Edinburgh's Award for a royal visit, which coincided that we'd only been open 12 months, and we asked Prince Edward that came to the Hamlet to officially open the Hamlet that day. And true Hamlet style, whenever we plan an event, it is always horrific weather, and that day was just torrential rain. We were all behind the scenes brushing up the paths because we were flooded everywhere. But it was an absolutely fantastic day, and just to mention that Prince Edward was absolutely fantastic with our young people, really engaged on their level, took the time and let our young people have processing time, and it was absolutely incredible. But then some of our young people have gone on to complete their Gold Award. We've had 15 young adults at Buckingham Palace over the last 2 years. And for those who haven't seen a garden party, there's probably about 5,000-6,000 people in Buckingham Palace Gardens. And at one point in the ceremony, they put a pathway through the middle of the garden. And Prince Edward came through the crowd, and he actually spotted us and remembered the Hamlet. And it might have helped because one of our trainees said, "Oi, Prince Charles, do you remember me?" And I was like, "No, it's Prince Edward, Robbie, it's Prince Edward."
But
But
he answers to anything when it's the Hamlet.
Absolutely. And he was fantastic, and he remembered everything about the Hamlet.
It might be worth mentioning, I don't know whether you can or not, about the tea and the coffee.
Okay, so I was told by the people before organising it that Prince Edward only had honey to sweeten his tea, and that's what he had instead of sugar. So the work that I'd gone to, the lengths to get really fresh honey from a bee farm, and on arrival, he sat down, and one of our trainees came over and brought the order book and took a while asking for his order. And he said, "Yes, please, I'd like a cappuccino, please." And I'd been told all this protocol, you can't touch him, you've got to address him as whatever. And I said, "Prince Edward," I said, "Are you for real?" I said, "Do you realise what length I've gone to for that honey for you?" And he was laughing, and he turned around and he said, "Well, can I ask, who wrote the bios for the visit?" And I said, "Yeah, that was me. Why?" And he said, "Well, I was expecting a barrister to serve me coffee, and it's my spelling, it's horrendous." And he said, yeah, he was expecting a barrister instead of a barista. Okay. So he's remembered that for years.
That probably resonates that teachers are not very good at spelling.
No, certainly
good
not.
Good at lots of other things, but not spelling. So I don't know if what about you two individually? What's your story from where you came from, what you're doing now, briefly? Just briefly.
I've always been in the area of special educational needs. My passion started at the age of 15. And it was my auntie who worked at Montrose School, which is actually where Clemt is based now. And she had a Take Your Daughters to Work day. And she didn't have a daughter at the time. So she asked, could she take me? And from that day, I knew that I wanted to help change the lives of our, young people with additional needs. And I've been in that field for quite a few years, 22 years.
Go on, Katy. I can see you're cringing there.
I'm just glad
keep it clean. Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
I was basically a pain in the bum for a long time. Caused my mum loads of trouble and just basically didn't really have a pathway. Didn't have anything, and I got pregnant at 19, and it wasn't a great situation. I lived at home, blah blah blah. But I remember the day I gave birth, I thought I can't just carry on as I am, and I just switched and thought I needed to do something good. And me and my mum started just teaching people how to cook. I was really passionate about my child's health and making sure she was healthy and making sure she was eating well, and it just stemmed from there. And I just always then had a love for making sure people were healthy and that they had good food to eat. So we started doing the cookery school, and then obviously Clemt came along, and I just love making sure people have got stuff on the table and people are looked after. I think it's just that caring role really, and making sure people go away happy and like they've got what they need. I
think just touching on that, last week we had the local trust up from London who brought with them 20 council leaders, come whatever, top level, looking at what we did at Wigan. So one of the visits, we always come to Clemt. So you chatted to them, we did all the stuff that we did with them, but the feedback I got afterwards from them was the story really about that's into Clemt. You can go in there, you can get your vegetables, you can get your potatoes, you can get some mince, you can do whatever, and then people go, what am I going to do with this? Because I can't. We take things for granted that we'll just go home and cook a meal. People who've not been educated into that field or had that background or them, things that we take for granted, that you can then take them into another room and go, we'll show you how to cook a meal. You can use your mince, it'll last you all week. We've got places in the borough and places in the country where people thinking going to a chicken outlet, I better not mention them because I might get sued here, thinking that's a real good advantage to buy a bargain bucket of something that will do. But that money could last you all week to spend. So I don't know if you want to touch on that briefly. I mean, I've probably too called you sting away there, haven't I?
I know, yeah, saying it all. Yes, obviously lots of people come and they haven't got any skills, and it's like people just don't know how to cook basic things like an omelette, and so we just get them in and show them how to do it, and it changes people's lives. People still come to me 10 years on and say, do you know that recipe you very first showed me years ago? I'm still using that. I take it to work. I've showed the staff at work. I've done this. My kids have it in the packed lunches, and that for me is just like amazing that people remember what we've taught them and that they go on carrying using it, because people become dependent on takeaways. And one of the things I heard recently is people are putting takeaways on a Klarna account, so they're buying now and paying for it later. So people are getting into debt for takeaway food, and for me it's absolutely ridiculous. And what can we do to make that better for people?
I think what's great about you guys in a way, and I'm not just saying that because you'll pay me later or whatever it is, or I'll pay you, whichever way it works, is naturally that family ethos that you've got, but actually not afraid to kind of say, do you know what, it wasn't going good for me at one point, and we all are, no matter how perfect life seems, it's not, is it? Because my missus says, you're great with people all the time, and you come home and you're the most grumpiest person in the world, and she like wants to kick me out most days that we are. But it's just your family, so Ben and Sam, which are your twin boys, nicest guys you could meet. I'm not saying.
I met them the other week at the thing, and I messaged you, didn't I? Yeah. I was like, your boys are absolutely lovely, chatting away to us, and you don't get that from teenage boys. Normally they just grunt at you, but so chatty and so lovely.
They've been brought up to graft.
Yeah,
the farmer's daughter.
Yeah, mine are the same, to be fair.
Yeah. So Gemma's background is farming, so so your mum and dad are still into that. And
absolutely. I nearly wore my wellies today to support them.
I think I could sit down and really have a conversation with your dad and be really at ease, but with your mum, she frightens me to death. But that's another story.
Cut that bit out. Cut that bit out.
No, she's a very determined lady. We get on really well. I'm only joking. But I think you're right. Ben and Sam are real credit to you. But on the other side, and that's Freya, who's your daughter who you had at 19, who's now at Winstanley. Is a credit, really. She's really like forceful person. She never shuts up. She's done some shadowing with me, with other people in the council, but really everybody's kind of spoiled. And then Ava is the one in between, and then Christopher, who's a bit of a pain. Is that right?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So I don't know if you want to just say it.
So obviously Freya's just been brought up with me just knowing what's right and what's wrong, and she's got real passion for people's rights, really, and politics at the moment. She's loving the politics. Ava's like the silent assassin. She's so kind, she's so lovely, but she's quiet and she's cutthroat, so I think she'll go far in life, because she's not like me. She doesn't say yeah for the sake of it. She's like, it's a yeah or it's a no. And then obviously we left it a few years and we had Christopher, and I thought it was a good mum. I thought I was doing all right. I was like, look at me with my two kids that are so well behaved and lovely. And then I got an absolute terror of a 7-year-old. And he laughed. I showed him the picture of this mug last night while we were lying in bed, and he laughed his head off. He was like, ready, as in ready. And I was just like laughing at him. Just
maybe we need to get him on here. He could be on our podcast.
Definitely. He's been in to work with me this morning while I dragged him in, and as I was leaving, he threw a massive snowball at me. So I was like,
that's good. Thanks. I think the reason I was bringing that is because people need to see you guys as being not, they're up there and you're untouchable and it's kind of, it's all right for you because you don't know what it's like. We all understand what it's like. We don't live and breathe that. You probably see more of that, Katy, than probably we do, because you see people coming in through that door who's disadvantaged, who've had a rough life, but actually depend on Clemt. I think that's the big key, isn't it? They depend on you now, don't they?
It's if you work there, experience as well, and obviously if you've been through stuff yourself, you sort of understand, and you're less judgmental of people that are coming through the doors. And I'm big on, you don't judge. You don't know what's happening in someone's life. You don't know what's happened before they've walked in the door. You don't know why they're in the situation, and it's just treating everybody as they are. And I think, I'm in a point now where most people that come in, they're all my mates. Like they just come and tell me all sorts. Sometimes I think you shouldn't really be telling me that, but they do. We've built up that trust with people now.
I've got to ask something that's just come into my head, and maybe I shouldn't do this in a political way. I'll probably get sacked here for doing some of this. So politicians at higher level talk about breakfast clubs in schools. So actually, my daughter's a social worker. She lives in Australia now, but she always had a kind of our own view of this. So we talk about putting money into breakfast at school for children who've not eaten, so when they get into school they can have a breakfast. And what's come back, not from Kelly, my daughter, but other people, he's going, the kids that you need to aim at are the kids that don't get into school to have that breakfast club because they don't get out of bed. The parents. So actually, what you'll end up doing is feeding the kids who would normally be in school. But that's my vision, what people have told me. And when you think of it, it's quite. So I don't know what both of you want to kind of touch on that in a way.
It's difficult, isn't it? There's lots of people behind the scenes that you can't get to, and it's about just keep reaching out all the time, and maybe saying to someone, have you got neighbours that are struggling, and having that bit of where we always say take something home and split it with your neighbours. We get so many things that are like massive bags or boxes, and we're like, share it with people. And I think that's a way of getting to people that might not necessarily come through the door, or people you might not come across. But we work a lot with social services, and we work with the police as well, so sometimes they might highlight someone to us, and then we'll do like a food parcel and send it with someone, and they'll take it round to people's
Might
houses.
Be worth mentioning. Sorry, Gemma, I'm keeping you out. I've never known you be quiet for like 5 minutes.
No chance for you.
Yeah, no, yeah, there we are. Is that element of if people come to Clemt because everything's priced up, so naturally you've got to buy the stuff. If people come to Clemt and they've not got any money, what do you do then?
Well, we all just rally around and make sure people have got stuff. Sometimes people come to us and they say, what can I get with my last £3? And we'll walk them around the shop, and we'll fill them a basket full of food, and then we'll just put it through as a note. So it's like a normal shopping experience. People don't know that person's getting any different treatment. And at the end, we'll just say, keep your £3, you might need that tomorrow. And we'll get them like £20 worth of shopping that they can just go away with. And people are often like just so taken back by it. But that's what we do, and we do it in a way that, it's not, oh, look at this person struggling over here. It's just a case of they're in, we make sure they're all right, we make sure they've got toilet rolls, shampoo, whatever they need for the kids, nappies, baby milk, whatever that person needs, we'll make sure that they go away with it. Unless it's something really ridiculous that we don't have.
I'm a big advocate for kind of food pantries and not food banks. Yeah. That was something I always spoke about 10, 15 years ago. I wanted Wigan to be food bank free. People looked at me with a glare because the buzzword was food banks. But when you think of a food bank, and you'll know better than I will, is people come in, you give them a bag of shopping, there's your food. It might not be stuff that they actually want. Just because people are struggling doesn't mean you give them a bag of rice and a bag of pasta. Yeah. But I think then there's the stigma of people going in and getting a bag of food free, where in a pantry, anybody can walk in there. A millionaire can walk in, or somebody you wouldn't know. And I always remember, because I worked in transport for many, many years, and I was at Clemt at Montrose, and people were queuing up going in, and there was a bus driver there. He shouted me on and went, "It's great, this, Chris. Have you seen all this stuff here?" If that had been a food bank, he would have put his head down, so I couldn't see who he was. Yeah. So I think there's a big learning curve there for all of us, isn't there? But knowing that there's that kind of being behind it. The reason I mention that is, and the reason I like you two is because if I come to you with an idea, or you come to me with an idea, if it's rubbish, you tell me. I know that. You're quite honest with me. So you do ground me actually very well. Well, you put me down a lot, but there we are. I'll come up with zany ideas on a daily basis, and you'll go, oh, not again, like, go away. But when I went to see Gemma, going back a while now, and I said, we're just setting food pantries up, and we're kind of doing this, and this. And she was like, oh, we've got this room at the back here full of cardboard boxes. And I was like, yeah, that could be fine, that, yeah. We can get you this and do that. 2 weeks later, she was like, I've set it up now. Where do I get my food from? No, that was very quick. And it's more artisan at the Hamlet. It's a different setup, although yours has become more artisan market there. But I think just touch on the element of like out-of-date food and you trying to sell it in that shop and having the trainings to do it. It's quite a quirky story.
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenging time, to be fair, because we'd built this link with Katy, and Katy was sending products to us that was past its best before date.
Yeah,
is it? Yeah. And but not used by date. And some of our trainees were teaching all the time about living independently and teaching the skills to stay healthy. And in the cafe, we're saying check the dates, because we can't serve things out of date because environmental health will be on our backs. So we're trying to teach one thing in one vocational area, but then we were saying, no, it's okay. It's not past its use by date. It's past its best before date. So it got really confusing for some of our young people. So the things in our shop at the moment are things that are in date, so that our trainees don't get confused. Because what we don't want to teach is a misconception and get our trainees really, really confused with that and living independently in the future and getting food poisoning and things because they've not got that level of understanding. And
they won't get food poisoning at Clemt.
No, I'm not saying, no, I'm not, that sounded really bad. Cut that out. But yeah, but that's what we're trying to teach. We're trying to teach our young people that to check dates and things.
No, it was an interesting concept, wasn't it? No, I'm only joking about that. We'll talk
polar opposite.
Yeah, it is polar opposite.
I think
it's teaching our
just finishing off now, a couple of points really. One is...
Sorry, Katie.
Can't work with you two, innit? Never work with you two and dogs and children and whatever you say. Have you got any regrets that you've moved forward doing things? Is there any regrets or things you do differently?
I feel like I don't have any regrets because you just learn from different things, don't you? And I think every mistake or everything that you've done, moulds who you are and
shapes your journey.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, so no, I don't have any regrets.
No, that's fine.
No. I'm exactly the same. I don't think I've got any regrets. I've really enjoyed my journey in life so far, and it's not been easy. It's been far from at times. Yeah. But those things shape you into the person you become, and I think those things make you stronger. And I think we're in a really good place right now to progress into the future. So I'm excited about the future. So like you,
more working together, more doing stuff, more of your students coming up to us, and we need to come and do more stuff at your place because we don't leave the building.
I think the element of that is when Heinz phone up and they go, we've got like 60 volunteers. You guys then speak to each other and go, can we share these volunteers? Can we share them experiences? So that's the partnership where we started earlier on chatting about is really important.
Yeah, and the things that like you don't see is like me and Gemma do phone each other and have chats about stuff at after clock at night normally when when we finish work and we'll talk about mainly you like
and then you ring me up
and then we ring you we just we do support each other because we both know we're in exactly the same place. It can be a bit lonely sometimes when you're running a project and there's things that have gone on through the day and you just need to discuss it. Sometimes if I discuss it with John, he's like, we've been in work all day, don't want to hear my nonsense. So sometimes having someone like Gemma who knows exactly what we're dealing with, sometimes it's easier to talk to Gemma than...
I think probably just touching on a couple of council things, I'll get in trouble if I don't probably put that in. So we had the Wigan deal, which is really famous. You guys have been involved in that all through its inception. We're now moving on to Progress with Unity, which naturally is the emblem of Wigan, which has been for a long time, which is just carrying on working together really. So I know you've both been advocates for that, but also probably the impact that the communities team who work under me, so Nicola's team, who come out and about with you guys all the time. So I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about some of that kind of.
Yeah, so go on, I'll go first. But the whole progress thing, it's been really good being involved with it from the start and seeing it grow and change. And one of the things that I love about Wigan is the council are amazing, and I'm not just saying that because of the support, but
you mean me?
Just you. Seeing what people do and knowing that I was in a situation where I could have just done with a little bit of extra support, and I went to Sonia and Alison, and they were like, "We'll deal with it. Just tell us what's wrong, and we'll sort it." And having that backup and knowing that if you've got something and you need, and I'm like an advocate for that now with some of the smaller community groups, saying if you need some support, go to the council, ring Nicola, ring Andrea, they will help you. And Nick, she's just amazing.
Amazing.
I couldn't,
absolutely.
and I'm not just saying that because she's going to listen to this, but she's that person that if
she's
there's
got
something,
a can-do attitude.
She's got a can-do attitude, and if there's something that you are struggling with, or you just need that person to go to, Nick's the person you go to, and you like ring her, and she'll just answer the phone, or she'll ring you back, and she's always there. She's always got some way she can help you, and if she can't, she'll tell you she can't, but she'll find someone that can. And she's just really good. And Andrea, she's not been with the communities team long, but she joined, and I just thought, she's the one. She's the right person for that team because she loves what we all do, and they're invested. It feels like they're invested in what we do.
Absolutely. They're active and the visual, you can see them down at the Hamlet. They're not behind closed doors in the town hall, are they? And we do feel very supported by a lot of the different teams within the council. But like you say, the community team is second to none. But I'd like to take this opportunity, and I don't know about you, Katie, to say a massive thank you to you, Chris. What you've done for the Hamlet, it wouldn't have been there in the beginning without you. And for you to back us the way you do, I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you from me and everyone at the Hamlet, and for everyone in the community that attends the Hamlet, because, you know, I'm sure everybody appreciates that we're there now, we're active, and that wouldn't have happened without you. So,
and we're the same.
Thank you.
The amount of things that we have to call on for you to come and sort out, and normally it's big stuff, and we're like, if it's an issue, we phone you and you just come out and you're like, don't worry, we can deal with it, we'll sort it. And I don't know, you've been there from the beginning now, haven't you?
Yeah, no, thank you, I appreciate that. And people who can listening to this will go, oh yeah, but it is us all working together, and it's the team, like Nicola's team behind the scenes. I've worked with Nicola since 2001. She came in as like an admin. I knew straight away that she had that ability. She's moved up through the ranks, runs the team. But I always said this to the communities team. I've got to admit, we've got a really fantastic team at the moment, because they can be quite transient in that kind of job, because they'll get promoted when they've worked in it. It's more than a job working in communities, because you've got to understand it, you've got to deal with it. And because I'm kind of at the coalface day in, day out, they can't fudge it with me. They can't, and they don't, but they can't go, oh, we're doing this, and I'll go, why are we doing it? What are we doing? Are we helping these people? Because you guys make the difference on the ground. The council can say whatever they want and do whatever they want, we'll support, but without you guys doing it, Wigan wouldn't be the place it is, and that's what it is. And that's what I said the other night. We did some awards the other night, and people from all over the country come and go, what is Wigan's secret? And I'm not just saying this, and people who listen to this are all over the country, hopefully all over the world, will say, yeah, we said that. What is Wigan's secret? And the secret is that we all work as one. A lot of councils don't work. They work in silos. In Wigan Council, it's like, we don't think we're any different than anybody else. So as a department, we'll work with you, as communities, we'll work with businesses, and all working together makes that achievement. And I've got to give a big sound here, because we're in Wigan and Leigh College today doing this podcast, and who's been really ultra helpful doing this. And there again, that education sector of all the pupils. So, you know, there's 3,500 students here, there's 9,000 distance learners. It's a massive organisation. We want to help them students, and we want them students to know about Clemt and the Hamlet and everything else that goes on. So in future podcasts, we'll be going over to the other side of the borough, and we'll be going and talking to the bridge and people who do it on the other side of the borough. Totally similar organisations with different kind of footfall, if you like. So we've got it. We're a massive borough. People who don't know, 320,000 plus people is the biggest one outside of Manchester. So when people talk about Wigan, it's massive, but we get on with it and do it. But we can't do it without you guys. So it's really important. Just when you finish now, we'll finish in a minute on if you've got any funny stories. Both of you, we'll start with you, Katy.
Well, I'll tell you my funny story because I think it's great. But I was in work one day, and one of the volunteers come to me, and she says, "Some guy in the Hamlet, in the outlet, just helping himself to fruit and veg. Just got a basket. She said, I think he's homeless." I went, right, okay, I'll come and have a look. So I goes in and I had a look. And it's only Chris getting his veg, helping himself to stuff. It was left over on a Friday, and he's texted it to his neighbours or whatever. But she was like, he's homeless. And I went in and just started laughing. But I didn't have the heart to tell him at the time, so I was just like, oh, okay then. And then I think a few months later, I was like, oh, you've had a shave now. The policy is like,
I was having a rough day that day.
Homeless man just in there. Like, it wouldn't have mattered even if he was, but it did make me laugh.
But it was funny, that put in context, really, because most people at Clemt know me, but I didn't know this lady. So she's on her own on a Friday afternoon, everything's finished. Katy's like, take whatever you need, because it'll go in the incinerator or wherever. So I'm doing it. This woman's really looking. I didn't think I needed. Asked her for a carrier bag, who she conveniently passed it to me with, like, thinking, who's this guy? And then that's it come out that they thought I was like robbing the place. But I usually do anyway, but with permission. With permission.
It's there for everyone to use it.
Yeah, so it's really funny. Yeah, it's good. I was more upset that she didn't know who I was.
I was like, don't tell anything else, he was homeless.
That's good. What about you?
We've got loads of funny stories, but ones that we can share on the podcast, I'm not sure. Why you've done a Chris Reedy one, I'll do a Chris Reedy one. So obviously Prince Edward opened the Hamlet, and we're highly passionate about the Duke of Edinburgh's award. And it was the morning after Prince Philip had passed away, and we have a morning brief with all our trainees in the morning, and we were all upstairs, and I addressed everybody and said, very sad morning, everybody, this morning. You might have heard on the radio or the news that Prince Philip has passed away this morning. But we're all really highly passionate about the award, and I'm sure that it's going to continue. Who do you think will take the shoes of Prince Philip and continue the award? And the trainees were thinking. And one of the trainees went, could it be Chris Reedy? And it just absolutely made me chuckle that they thought that you were as high as royalty, Chris, and that's how much you thought of it.
So that's two spectrums, isn't it? I was homeless, and now I'm near royalty.
And the other day we were trick-or-treating, and Christopher says, who owns our street? Is it Chris Reedy? And I went, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But I've got to mention that, and that's it. Dave Mullen, who's leader of the council, and me and Dave have worked together like 30 odd. You all know Dave. Dave comes down and sees you guys as well, and he kind of cringes when some of the stuff that I do, but fully supportive of everything we're doing. He understands that that's a communities he's linked into. He's a lad who lives in Ince. He still represents Ince. He's leader of the council. But he is what we are. If he was sat here now, he'd be having just the same crack as we're having. But the support throughout the council, I'm really lucky because the job I've got, he calls me the Minister for Fun, because man's a fun job meeting people like you. And it's really, so thanks for coming today. I think it's been really good.
Thank you for having us.
And giving that element of doing all that kind of
you've got us on first because we're your favourite.
I know, yeah. So it's been great today doing this podcast with Katy and Gemma. But naturally, Wigan and Leigh College have been ultra supportive of this. And we've got Jack and Amy who's going to come in and do some questions for all of us probably. Because really this is about a partnership role, Wigan and Leigh College, myself and all the community. So like I said before, in Wigan we're all gelled together, and the college is a massive part of what we do in Wigan. So here we are at Wigan and Leigh College with Jack and Amy, who's joined us on the podcast. Instead of me asking questions and it's all about me, we want to know what you guys think about what goes on in Wigan. So welcome.
Thank you for having us. I imagine starting a company like yours might come with a lot of challenges. So I was wondering, were there any notable challenges that you had to face, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so with the Hamlet, I wanted to start a 19 to 25 provision for young adults with additional needs, but I didn't have a building and I didn't have any money, and it was the chicken and the egg, what come first. So with a lot of phone calls to Chris, and I think I've got the nickname the dog with a bone, is it?
So on.
We managed to secure the building with the council for a 6-month temporary lease until we could go for some grants and get some funding. So for me, the early challenges were, it was the chicken and the egg, which was going to come first, the building or the money. And to get the grants, we needed the building. To get the building, we needed the money. So for me, that was our first hurdle. We got over that, and we got some great funding support. And if you come down to the Hamlet, you'll see where we've got to today with the grant support. It
might be worth saying, I mean, Gemma's got a book of where it started from, was a derelict building of the councils, and there's probably £1 million been invested in that, not by the council, by Gemma getting money in, and businesses open again. So when you do see it, you need to come up there, and we can have a chat, and then you actually see things on the core face.
What's been the community's response to what you bring?
We're very supportive with the community, and what a lot of people say is that it's like a Hamlet family. They come to the Hamlet to socialise themselves as groups. We have a lot of different groups that attend the Hamlet. We've got a really amazing volunteer group that 20 odd volunteers support us and give their time to the Hamlet. So yeah, we've got a lot of community support, and we're very lucky to have that support. What about you, Katy?
Yep. So we've built up a great trust in the community. Lots of local people come and visit us and get involved and help us do different things. And they do like a pay it forward scheme, so lots of people pay it forward for someone else who's struggling. But yeah, we get amazing support from the community, and I think everybody's on board with what we do.
Absolutely. We get comments a lot like, you can come to the Hamlet feeling a bit down, but you always leave with a warm heart and a smile on your face, and we cheer people up, and you always leave a happier person than you came. So to hear that is absolutely amazing, and it's our young people that do that. Our young people are inspirational, and it is a community.
I think two separate different organisations, and Katie won't mind me saying this, that a lot of people who go to Fir Clemt have probably got low esteem, not much confidence in themselves, and these guys build them up that way.
It must be really rewarding, like company, this ethos of, you know, looking after one another. Do you have any specific feats where achievements where you've been really proud of what you've built?
A massive achievement that we've had in the last month is one of our young adults doing his Gold Duke of Edinburgh's Award. He chose for his new skill, learning a skill, he wanted to learn to drive. And we started by doing his driving theory, and we practiced every week. And with his determination and dedication of practicing his driving theory daily at home and coming in showing me the score that he'd got, he actually went on to pass his driving theory first time, but he's actually passed his test just over a month ago. And 2 weeks ago, he actually drove to the Hamlet himself and drove to work. And for me, that just speaks volumes. You know, it's teamwork, it's dedication, it's our trainees, it's the amazing staff that support our trainees. We've got an amazing staff team, so that's definitely something that I'm proud of.
I mean, one thing these guys don't do is shout about what they do. They just crack on with it and do everything. I want to talk about Remade.
Yeah, so we've got lots of little community groups that come and join us at Fir Clemt because we've got a lovely space. And lots of people come to us and they're like, we're struggling, we've got no space, we're struggling for people coming through the doors, is there anything you can help with? And one lady, Alice, came to us and she said she's got nowhere to be because a building was closing in Wigan, and she was struggling with people coming through the doors, and she was like, have you got any room? And at the time we had this tiny little bathroom and it was a dog wash area, and I remember going to her, this is the only space that we've got available, and she went, I'll have it. I was like, what on earth is she thinking? But she moved into this. We took the bath out, like you do. And we painted the walls. It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. And she moved in and she started seeing more ladies coming, women only, and it's a safe space for people just to get that little bit of time on their own, to do some upcycling furniture and stuff like that. But she came to us and then she moved into a different room when one came available, a bigger room. And now she's moved into another room, so she's moved around a little bit in the building. But now she's seeing hundreds of women coming through the doors each day, and that, you know, that's a footfall of Fir Clemt and us working together and promoting what she's doing, and just having her on site is amazing because it's that little bit of a calm sometimes when you need that space, and being able to direct ladies to her when you get someone walking through the door. And it's not always something we can help with. Having other people that we could say, well, actually, go in with Alice, do some furniture upcycling, that'll make you feel 100 times better. It makes me feel better. I go in there just to hide out sometimes. Yeah. When I'm having a bit of an overwhelming day, I think I'll just go and sit in with Alice and hide for a bit.
I know what you mean. We've got Into the Darkling Wood, that's a craft centre, and Dawn's absolutely fabulous at just kind of, you know, working with the community, and our trainees support are working with the community, and it's nice to have that little bit of somewhere on site that you can have that space.
And she's just moved into Spinner's Mill in Leigh. She's just opened a second workshop at Leigh, so she's branching out now, and she's seeing lots of people. So, and she has a massive impact on the community as well. So.
And that's just going to grow and grow, isn't it?
It's going to grow.
People
We're doing a lot of stuff together at the moment.
You're not getting a word in here, Amy. I've got to put up with these guys all the time.
You're not much better. You're worse, actually.
At Fir Clemt, what happens to the food that can't be reused or shared?
It's an interesting one, isn't
story.
it? Yeah.
So we have a bit of food left over at the end of the day. We don't have a lot, but we do have a little bit of normally fruit and vegetables. We do everything we can to save what we get. And one day I was just mentioning to Chris that, you know, the food waste bills started costing us a little bit of money. And he's like, right, let me go away. So he goes away and he speaks to Lord Peter Smith, who was the head of the council at the time, and he said, why don't you just get him a composter? So next minute, councillor here with a massive composter. It's great because it's got a big turny thing, so you can put loads in it. And now we've got a composter on site, so we make our own compost. But Chris got Peter Smith down. He said, come down to Fir Clemt, and made him cut the ribbon on the composter. And he was like, what are you getting me into doing now? So even, you know, before David, we had massive support from the council, and you know, he's not with us anymore, is he? But he was really good. Support, and even now his wife still supports what we do at Fir Clemt, even so yeah.
She gets funding, doesn't she, through the kind
Yeah, and then she always rings us, so
Can I thank everybody who's been involved with today's podcast? It's been really interesting talking to these guys. I know them, but I hope people take an interest in it and listening to the students as well who are involved in that. So it's a big team effort here, what we've done. But some fabulous stories. There's lots more to come at Clemt and the Hamlet, and we want you guys to go up there. But what I did do the other week was come and see you guys in the show here, which was fantastic. What I want to do is people from Clemt and the Hamlet to come and watch some of your shows, because I think they'll get a lot out of that. It was fantastic, 9 to 5, superb singing, really good, but I think they'll get a lot out of coming up here, and I think the connection that we'll make now with the college, with these guys, will be great moving forward and a real bust. So hopefully that if we've achieved anything out of today, that would be great.